Trying the pulse of the road and the future of flight. From viral trends, policy shifts, we cut through the traffic to bring you the stories that drive us. Your fast-track guide to everything on the move starts right now. From the Billionaire News Channel studio to Mellow 947 BFM, I'm Paolo del Rosario, and this is Shift Happens. When we board a plane, we're greeted with warm smiles, a friendly welcome, and a familiar safety demonstration. For many of us, that's where our understanding of a cabin crew member begins and ends. But behind the polished uniform is a highly trained professional, responsible for far more than passenger comfort. From managing medical emergencies to ensuring safety thousands of feet above the ground. Cabin crew members are prepared to handle situations most of us never see. After spending 24 years in the aviation industry, rising through the ranks of one of the world's leading airlines, our guest has made it his mission to pass on his knowledge to the next generation of aviation professionals. And today, as president and CEO of MEFATS Aviation Academy, he continues to champion excellence in safety, service, and aviation education. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ron Manzanilla. Magandang hapon po. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Good afternoon, Sir Paolo, and good afternoon to all our viewers. Magandang hapon po, magandang araw.
Ron, I love your voice. It sounds like I am on a plane right now, and it brings so much comfort and so much joy. I want to go to your journey in particular first. Paano ito nagsimula? What made you decide to take this career in the first place? And of course, how did it lead to actual education?
Okay, so thank you for asking. Actually, it never crossed my mind to venture into the aviation world, Paolo. Actually, I graduated civil engineering sa Mapua Institute of Technology. That's the course that my dad actually wanted me to take. Pero, life brought me dito sa aviation and medyo wala siya sa plano, but I enjoyed since then. 2001 was the year that I ventured with Cebu Pacific. I stayed there for 2 years and then eventually moved on to Qatar Airways as a normal cabin crew. Got promoted to be a supervisor and then eventually to becoming a cabin services director. So parang it really came unplanned. Bigla lang ako talaga nakapasok dito. Basta kahit ako, nagugulat pa rin until now eh.
It's funny because you say it's unplanned, but then it's one thing to actually stay and maybe the start is unexpected. But what were the reasons for you to stay? Because you've made this your life, practically speaking, when it comes to your life as a flight attendant to after it. And of course, now here talking about everything to deal with aviation.
Okay, so alam mo parang addictive customer service. I don't know for what reason, pero when I started engaging into customer service, hinahanap na siya nung sistema ko, yung kahit day off ko, hindi ako pwedeng pupunta sa family ko nang hindi ako yung unang magsaserve sa kanila or hindi ko pwedeng mauna akong kakain sa kanila or papabayaan ko na lang sila na walang nag-aasikaso sa kanila. So, naging part na siya ng buhay ko eh. So, even though I just planned to stay in the Middle East for a couple of years, sabi ko nga 5 years maximum yung stay ko doon, pero eventually, nagtagal na ako ng 15 years doon eh. And pagkatapos nga, nabitin pa ako. So sabi ko, why don't I carry on with this journey? I-pass on ko na sa next generation of flight attendants itong knowledge ko, yung skills na nag-garnered ko in the last 2 decades of my life. Kaya eto ako ngayon, naging educator na ako. And I'm helping Filipinos reach for their dreams to fly. Yeah.
Ron, bakit nga ba sinasabi ng mga tao, and I'm not just saying this because I'm Filipino, but when you talk to foreigners, when you talk to people who experience for the first time being on a flight with Filipino flight attendants, yung quality of service ng mga kababayan natin is typically unmatched. Why is that so?
Ako din, I want to comment on that, not just as a Filipino. Kasi I've seen how the evolution of my former airline came to be. So okay lang ba sabihin yung airline ko
Yeah,
before?
go ahead.
So I came from Qatar Airways, which is we all know na five-star airline to, di ba? So when I joined the company in 2003, wala pa talaga siyang pagmamalaki at that time. It's very different from what we know of Qatar Airways now. Dati parang lahat ng standards namin nanggagaling pa sa ibang airline. We trained abroad para lang makigamit ng facilities. So when they mass hired Filipinos in 2003, would you believe na kahit na yung mga materials that we serve on board, yung mga pagkain na sinaserve namin, sorry to say the word, inferior compared sa mga competition namin. It is the heart of those 90 Filipinos that they hired that brought us and gave us an award that year. And that award was the best cabin crew in the Middle East. So when we came there, immediately pagkalagpas pa lang ng 6 months or 5 months, nagka-award na kami ng Best Cabin Crew in the Middle East. And eventually, natuwa yung QR, nag-hire na naman siya ng another 120 Filipinos, joined the airline, and siyempre, the following year na yun, 2004. And at the end of that year, Qatar Airways got the most coveted award na Best Cabin Crew in the world that year. So you can clearly see, I'm not being biased na that's the effect of the influx of Filipino cabin crew. Kaya sobrang proud ako to be part of the community. Tsaka makapag-contribute ng ganun for such a huge airline.
Mhm. And to be completely fair, just earlier this year, I did come by Qatar and actually visited the offices of Qatar Airways. At maraming Pinoy hanggang ngayon who do work even behind the scenes over in Qatar Airways. That being said, we talk about the quality of yung mga flight attendants po natin or the aviation staff that are Filipino. Your task right now is to actually help educate and keep that standard up or maybe even improve that. What is it about the Filipino flight attendants, the ones who work in aviation, that makes them a class apart? You mentioned the accolades, sure, with Qatar, but then what are the key attributes of a Filipino aviation employee?
Okay, so I'll be talking about yung first-hand experiences ko with Filipinos, so I can get to explain to you kung ano yung mga na-observe ko from my point of view. Well, of course, yung forever na or unending patience. The first thing na pwede ko sabihin is the unending patience ng mga Filipinos. Yun yung unang-unang mapapansin mo na kahit na minsan, you'll encounter difficult customers or mga customers na you really just can't satisfy them, whatever you do to them. But the Filipinos, they're tougher. Kung may super demanding customers, mas matindi yung Filipinos na tsatsagain yung customer na yon. We also have Filipinos na, they're really good at empathizing. Tingnan ka pa lang nila, alam nila yung kailangan mo. Nakakatuwa talagang tingnan yung mga Filipinos na yun. And yes, you're right, Paolo, na itong mga new generation of cabin crew, kasi nakikita naman natin din how the times have deteriorated itong mga soft skills na taglay talaga ng Filipinos. But here in my academy, what I really want to make sure is to instill that and, strengthen it. Kasi yun yung talagang nagde-deteriorate over the years. Kaya I'm thankful na yung mga gumraduate naman here, taglay pa rin nila yung mga qualities na that makes us different and special.
You mentioned the declining soft skills of this new generation. I know as an educator, you see it from a different point of view because you literally can see one generation to the next
Yes.
in terms of their attributes. Why would you say na nagde-deteriorate na yung soft skills natin?
Ayan, medyo controversial yung statement na sinabi ko, but I'm sure everyone has seen how technology, which was supposed to connect us more, is disconnecting us. And part of that disconnection, happens to be our ability to empathize and our ability to connect internally dun sa mga tao around us. So I think it's talaga yung pinakamalaking attributes na nawawala sa mga kabataan ngayon. Now, when they come to us, they seem to be disconnected. They seem to be, living on their own. Okay na sila magsarili nila. Well, to start with, hindi naman talaga tayo, we are social beings. Yun naman talaga ang humans. So if you're gonna start off like that, kaya mong mabuhay mag-isa, independent ka, and you don't need anybody else, nawala na yung essence ng customer service sa'yo, di ba? So, that early, pagpasok pala nila, nakikita namin yung mga weaknesses na yun. So, we really are, constantly redesigning our programs to make sure na every time may nakikita kaming dapat i-improve para yun nga ma-strengthen, ma-fortify yung natural skills nating mga Filipinos, ginagawa namin para pagaling yung mga mas tumatagal, mas gumagaling yung mga bagong graduates natin na isusubo natin sa airlines.
You know, I love that because there's so much to discuss when it comes to educating the next generation and, of course, the next generation of Filipino flight attendants. But, Ron, we're going to have you stay for a bit because I have a lot harder questions to ask when we return. He is the president and CEO of MEFATS Aviation Academy, Ron Manzanilla. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation as we fly higher into the world of aviation, leadership, and the journey of shaping future Filipino cabin crew. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're tuned in to Billionaire News Channel and Mellow 947 BFM. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Looking for the perfect escape? Discover Club Nalu, a serene beachfront retreat where stillness meets style. Nestled along the quiet shores of Bacnotan in La Union, Club Nalu is designed for slow mornings, ocean breezes, and moments that help you unwind. From cozy rooms and sun-drenched villas to relaxing spaces inspired by nature. Every corner invites you to pause, breathe, and recharge. Club Nalu, come as you are and leave feeling a little lighter. Book now at clubnalu.ph.
Welcome back. You're still watching Shift Happens. For those who are just tuning in, I'm Paolo del Rosario, and you're listening on Mellow 947 BFM. Simulcast on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. Now, we're still with Ron Manzanilla, the President and Executive Director of MEFATS Aviation Academy. Thank you so much for staying on air with us and not leaving us hanging. Let us go and talk about siguro yung mga misconceptions when it comes to flight attendants, cabin crew members. I am sure you have a lot of students and those prospective cabin crew members that go into your academy and siguro naka-culture shock sila or maybe there's one big surprise. What typically are those surprises?
Okay, so first of all, you're very right, Jens, that's a topic niyan, Paolo. You know, the first thing that they come here for, obviously, is syempre to, get all the benefits of being a flight attendant. Basically, to travel the world, akala nila it's all smiles and all good things, rainbows and butterflies, things like that, until they come to realize na even before you venture into the service, yung service element ng pagiging crew, kailangan mo muna maging responsible sa safety ng mga customers. And the training itself, it's so demanding, physically demanding and draining na mauubos talaga lahat yung baon mo lakas doon di ba? Plus, of course, yung customer service part pa, and we all know na hindi madaling one of the most challenging careers there is to basically, deal with people kasi hindi mo naman sila makokontrol So, yung dalawang elements pa lang na yun, yung service and safety, it comes as a surprise, malaking surprise para sa mga students natin. So, most of the time, may mga nag-quit na in the beginning pala ng training nila, merong mga realization sila kaagad na nagpapabago na kaagad sa view. Dalawa lang yung pwedeng effect nun Either magiging sobrang focused sila even more or iiwanan nila knowing na or realizing na hindi siguro nila kaya yung ganong katinding commitment. Yan.
I love that because you mentioned safety as the first thing to enumerate here when it comes to yung mga cabin crew. And that might be a portion that we do not pay enough attention to. Can you give us an idea of just how much education is required for the safety aspect of being a cabin crew member. And of course, that also means having to address mga emergencies, medical emergencies, mechanical emergencies. How do you teach that?
Mhm. So normally, every airline that hires its cabin crew would devote 7 weeks of training, 5 weeks of which will be safety, and the remaining 2 weeks would be service. So that's how much of time they devote to safety. And most of the airlines, especially my airlines sa Philippines, you only given 3 lifelines throughout the training. So imagine you can only fail 3 times before you get thrown out of the training. That's how challenging it is. And that in MEFATS, in my school, what we do is we train you, the students, in a quite similar manner sa airlines. So tumatagal yung training namin ng 5 weeks. And then, of course, we concentrate on safety. So they don't get surprised when they join the airline. Kasi, yes, we can train them easily how to get through the hiring process. Kaya namin silang pagalingin sa interview, sa lahat ng elements of how to get hired. But to make them strong enough to withstand that level of training, yun yung pinaka-challenging para sa marami sa kanila. And to be honest, may mga bumabagsak pa rin kaming students kahit na na-hire na sila ng airline just because they were too lenient.
Yeah.
Doon sa training, thinking na, okay, kaya ko na ito, nailusot ko na itong hiring process eh. Pero nakakalimutan nila na mas challenging yung training part dahil you will be responsible for the lives of people. You'll be licensed when you're flying. May license nga kami na renewable every year na kailangan namin maging up-to-date sa safety and sa service. So, yeah.
Sir Ron, when we look at the technical aspects and the requirements of the cabin crew members, yes, the airlines, I'm sure, will have their own programs for that as well, you know, in addition to what you're teaching in your academy. But one thing that is hard to teach is the soft skills, as you mentioned, but at the same time also the emotional demands, the mental demands that go alongside the whole grind of it all. Is that part of your curriculum? Is that something that you also address?
Yes, it is. Actually, yung first part ng training, it enhances their EQ, their SQ, and most importantly, their AQ. Kasi most of the schools that we finish our studies from, they are, of course, concentrating more on the IQ of people, yung intelligence quotient natin. But we are neglecting the equally important emotional intelligence, social intelligence, di ba? Kaya nag-allot kami ng 2 weeks of our training here to strengthen these kids using well-curated programs para ma-improve na itong mga intelligences na to. So, proven naman siya because of the result, our conversion ng graduates namin to those who are becoming cabin crew. And nagte-testify sila saying na they're so glad na yun yung foundation namin dahil kung hindi nga, siguro mas maaga sila sumuko or mas hindi nila kinaya yung mga airlines. And I'm glad na meron na silang ganito kasi noong time na kami yung lumulusob sa airlines talagang baon na namin, guts, kapal ng mukha, alam mo yun. Kaya I'm so glad na meron akong method of how to, help them further.
Ron, let's say a prospect comes in when it comes to applying for your academy and of course wants to take this as part of their career or part of their life journey. When you take a look at them and you have to assess who they are, what they are to make sure that they're right for one, admittance, and two, that they can actually find work as a cabin crew member in the aviation industry, what are the things that you look at?
Okay, so let's talk about physical attributes muna. Of course, there are the non-negotiables, yung height, of course, the requirement of the height. And second is yung physical conditions that, you cannot have. For example, you cannot have scoliosis that are severe. You cannot have color blindness. And syempre, yung mga visible tattoos and visible scars on the face and the hands na syempre it won't be possible when you see that outside of the uniform, diba? So those are the first things. Now, of course, they'll have to go through the interview, and in the interview, it's their realization na sabi ko nga kanina, that's the time that we tell them exactly what to expect, to remove all those sugar coatings ng aviation industry saying na, this is the perfect job for you. Like, everybody can be a flight attendant as long as they want it. Yung part na to, we are brutally honest with that. And I'm so proud to say na here in my academy, we never lie about these things. We tell them na, okay, first of all, not everybody who finishes the training becomes a cabin crew. Second, you need to realize na beyond the sweet words, ito yung responsibility na dapat mong harapin. Now, from that part pa lang, either itutuloy na nila yun or uurong na sila. So, that's how we gauge it. Kinukuha muna namin yung emotional strength nila, kung kaya ba nila. And then we talk about the others as we go along. So, ganun yung ginagawa namin.
Just out of curiosity po, what's the minimum requirement when it comes to the height?
The height, okay. So, yung mga local airlines natin, unfortunately, demands 1 inch higher than the international airlines. So, sa labas, 5'2" sa mga international airlines, pero dito sa Philippines, 5'3" sa girls, ladies. Sa mga gentlemen naman, 5'7" dito sa Philippines and 5'6" sa labas. Ganon. So, medyo mas mataas pa sa
Ron,
sa
sorry,
Philippines.
make it make sense for me. Bakit? Okay, yung average height ng mga Pinoy, we're not that tall from an international perspective. Bakit sa local airlines, mas mataas, or you have to be taller as a minimum requirement to be a cabin crew member?
Okay, so get that. Normally, yung mga airlines sa Philippines, we also look for the brand ambassadors. And of course, we know that how important height is when you're talking about representing an organization. So once you have those attributes na striking ka, pag tayo mo pa lang sa isang kwarto, nakukuha na kagad yung attention. So that itself will make you, a brand ambassador. So kung kaya naman nilang kumuha ng cabin crew na and brand ambassador pa, why not? So yun yung nakikita ko lang na reason kung bakit mas particular pa sa local airlines kaysa sa mga international airlines pagdating sa height. Pero remember, Paolo, ang kailangan lang naman, o ang reason lang naman kung bakit may height requirement is to easily reach for the safety equipment, which are usually positioned inside the overhead bins. Kaya-kaya na yan abutin ng mga 5'5" na lalaki or 5'1" na babae. Kaya-kaya na yan.
Okay.
But the problem is, kailangan pa rin talaga na matangkad para sa purposes ng being ambassador.
Can I just say, Sir Ron, you have ensured that yung producer po namin or isa sa mga reporter po namin dito hindi magiging flight cabin crew member kasi 4'11" lang siya si Miss G. Baroga. But apart from that, all joking aside, Sir Ron, before we let you go because we're running out of time, for those who want to go and enroll and maybe even inquire sa academy po ninyo, how can they do so?
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you're dreaming really of reaching for the sky, why don't you let us train you to be like us? MEFATS Aviation Academy can be found through our website, www.mefats.com, or maybe you can visit our page on Facebook, MEFATS Aviation Academy. We have our office also in Papua New Guinea because currently we are engaging into international operations. Right now we have Russian students, Brazilian, and of course, Papua New Guineans. Don't wait for your dreams to, come to you. It's your time to reach for your dreams. And we are here, of course, to assist you.
He is the President and CEO of MEFATS Aviation Academy, Mr. Ron Manzanilla. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully, we can see some of your students very soon in the skies. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And that concludes our roundup of the stories driving the industry forward. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Join us again tomorrow on Shift Happens, your fast-track guide to everything on the move. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel, and Mellow 947 BFM.